Hi, everybody, and welcome to the 39th, I think, episode of FaB. It's been a while since I did one. I think it's been 3 months. That's too long. So I'm going to try to do these more often. And from the beginning of this, I'll just tell anybody if you like what you're seeing here and you want to see other shows where I get together with some fans and we discuss Beatles and some solo Beatles and things, please make sure you check out my channel, Mean Mr. Mayo, and go over to the playlists and you can access FaB past shows, and there's a lot of good stuff and more to come. All right, so before I continue, let me introduce my guest for this show today. First of all, she is my co-host, one of them on the show Talk More Talk, a solo Beatles video cast, and she's got some books out. I always have a couple of them ready here. We have Songs We Were Singing, Guided Tours Through the Beatles' lesser-known tracks, Fandom and the Beatles, as I like to say, the act she's known for all these years with Ted Womack, along with Kid O'Toole. And she has a podcast, too, called Toppermost of the Poppermost that she's on. She's one of the co-hosts on there. Welcome, Kit O'Toole.
Thank you so much, Joe. Good to be back. And hello, Tone, as well. Good to see you.
Yes, indeed.
Hi, Kit.
And there he is, my friend Beatley Tone from Beatley Tone's Beatles channel. And he did a really good video, I thought, talking about some of the confusion here about what was going on with this talk about the new Beatles song and everything. And then I kind of made a video and I thought, why don't I just get everybody here to talk about it with some of you out there? So we're going to do that. I want to say there's a comment here in the top from Martin McGrath. Let's be honest, Martin. You say Glastonbury is on and we are chatting about a bleeping demo that's been described as dirge. Ha ha ha. You don't have to be here. You can watch it if you want. Adios. But if you want to be here, please use a little decorum. That's all I ask. Thanks. Okay, we got Woodland Goblin and Rob Skure. Okay, anything else? Can't name everybody. We're gonna have quite a few people here. Okay, thanks everybody for showing up. All right, where do we begin with this? I don't have a script or anything here. Well, first of all, let's talk about what our feelings are of the versions of Now and Then, which is what the song is pretty much going to be, although nobody's really said that, yet, really. But everything that they're talking about, and Paul too points to that, and Sean, right? So that'll be funny or embarrassing too if it turns out that that's not the song, after
yes,
all
won't we look silly?
Yeah. So let's go around. Like, what did you generally think of this song, the third song that they were going to release on Anthology, but ultimately decided not to complete it? Kit, let's start with you.
Yeah, I was listening to John's demo again today, just to refresh my memory for the show. I can definitely see, in a way, why they didn't do the song for the Anthology project, because, initially, because it is beautiful, it is haunting, but I can kind of see why they initially didn't go for it, because Free as a Bird and Real Love probably were more commercial in a way. They wanted to keep this light. This was a celebratory project, obviously celebrating their legacy. And so, Now and Then is as I said, a very haunting song. And I think it's beautiful in many ways, but it also does have a very, melancholy kind of sound. Also did need work with the lyrics. I mean, it's a demo after all. And they needed to, I think they would have had to do more work on the lyrics and so forth. And so, listening to it now, I can kind of see why, maybe they ended up, or at least George, we know George initially, said, nah, I think let's stick with the other two. Excuse me. I can kind of see why, maybe they initially put it aside, but not because it's a bad song, but maybe they felt it wasn't as commercially viable. Let's put it that way.
All right. And Tone, how about you?
Yeah, I think that had something to do with it, because I think that they were looking for a single from each anthology. There was going to be a new Beatles single, and I think maybe it's not complete enough. Like you say, Kit, that there's holes in the lyrics. That where is la 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 in, or do doing, and that sort of thing. So there's quite a lot of work there. But I think where you say melancholy, that's exactly right, because it's kind of what we hear is kind of laden with like minor chords, which add that kind of drama, as minor chords tend to do, and that's why the Beatles used to use them quite a lot. But I think it's definitely got potential, and I'm really excited to see what they can do with it. And it's when you're talking about a demo, it's funny, because the demos that, apart from these three, like Free as a Bird, Real Love, and this one, apart from these three, the other demos that we've heard from the Beatles, we're hearing them after we've heard the finished version. Yeah, so it's a kind of a different situation. So we know the finished version. Like if you go to, like, say, the Isha demos or something like that, well, we know all those songs from the White Album. We know how they turned out, and now we get the demos, and it's like, okay, this is really interesting, because this is the very embryo of this song that we know so well now. But with these songs, it's the other way around. We only knew the demo. We didn't know the finished version. So it's a kind of a different story, I think.
Yeah, I don't know what I could add to it except to say, it's funny. I only heard it. I didn't play it much, but because of this, I've been listening to it a couple of times more, and I never really cared for it much, to tell you the truth. I kind of, for the reasons that we say, it's kind of melancholy. Although I want to make something clear, not that itself is a problem. I like a lot of melancholy songs, I like songs from John Lennon Plastic Ono Band that are not outwardly commercial, and Bob Dylan, who I like a lot, does a lot of songs that are not commercial or poppy, and he's not a hits maker. So for me, I was thinking with a single, you might want it to be a little more catchy, a little more commercial. I'm fine with it, but just as a single, I don't know.
Right.
But what are they going to do with it, though? Maybe they can do something to make it more appealing. I'm sure there have been slower, definitely slower, not as zippy and poppy.
Yeah, they're probably like add a mid-late or something like that. Maybe a hook, but this is it's the Beatles. They know what they were doing. They know.
I mean, I understand why, based on what I've heard, and there's been a lot of versions coming about, trying to fix it up and stuff since the 90s, right? But
Yeah.
and I generally think George was onto something there. Like this person here says, but if George Harrison didn't like it, there must have been something amiss with it. And now you talked about the tone, the buzz going through the recording.
Yeah, that. We're not sure whether he didn't like the song, or he just thought that it wasn't good enough quality because of that buzz that they couldn't get rid of. But I think that we kind of got to take what George was always very down on the Beatles anyway during the solo years, and I'm not sure if we can always go by what George's opinion on these things, because he probably thought Extra Texture was a good album.
Oh,
I like that tone. I like that.
Yeah, and also, I've mentioned this. I think I mentioned this on the last Talk More Talk episode. You have to keep in mind, George, during the anthology, I think was in a very different place. You could tell in some of those interviews, and particularly in the segments where the three of them were doing some interviews together, there was definitely some tension there. And if you asked him today, about that song, he may give a completely different opinion.
Right.
We don't know.
That's a long time ago, right?
Yeah, I mean, we just don't know.
And whatever George, we don't know whatever George's concerns was. People, a lot of people say, and I know I find myself teetering a little bit there. Well, George didn't like it, and whatever happened to this thing about the Beatles being very democratic, and if somebody didn't like it, it wouldn't go. Well, the thing is, maybe the things he objected to would be fixed. Like if it was the noise, and they could eliminate that cleanly, fine. If it was the quality of John's vocal, and they could enhance that now in 2023, great. Maybe he wouldn't object to it.
And we don't know, because I think he was quoted as saying it was rubbish. We don't know if he meant the song itself. As we mentioned, was it the sound quality? We don't know. We don't know exactly what he was referring to.
Sorry, excuse my finger, folks. This is a long story in itself. The fact that I couldn't do this on my computer, I'm doing it on my phone because I'm having technical problems. This means my hands got to come up here to look at the comments.
I'll just say hello to everyone that's saying hello in the comments.
Yeah.
Hello. Now this thing, but on the flip side, if McCartney liked it now and then, it must have been a song that he thought had potential to his ears. Do you think there's any truth to that idea that supposedly the last thing that was said to Paul from John was "Think of me every now and then, my old friend"?
That's what Linda said, and she was apparently there at the time. So, I mean, that could be the reason why he can't let this go.
Yeah,
it's possible. It's possible. I also, as I was listening to the song again today, I could kind of see why Paul would be attracted to the song, not just because of that, but some of the chord changes. I could kind of see that there was a bit of a melody there, and we know Paul's a melody guy. That's his thing. And so I could also kind of see why Paul would have been drawn to the song and think there was possibility there. So I don't know. Hard to say, but my opinion, I could see why, in that sense, why Paul would think it had potential.
Yeah, seems like he's got some kind of thing for it.
Yeah.
He said for a while he wanted to finish this off. I think.
Mm.
Maybe.
Exactly.
He'd like to finish it off. So let's see.
I want to know what Ollie's disappointed about.
I don't know. I can't find it.
I'm disappointed, Tony said.
Oh, Tony said I'm disappointed.
Oh, you're disappointed. What are you disappointed in? Tony's opinion?
Yeah. Robert said, "Are we happy with the lyrics?" You've got it. Well, lose your. Yeah, the abuse you line is
look out! Oh
no, I don't mean in terms of I mean it is an interesting line.
The internet.
But I think it was written in a time when he was kind of along the lines of Woman, when he was reflecting on his relationship with Yoko, and his certainly the rocky times they had, and that at times that he did treat her poorly.
Sorry.
Oh no, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say that like another spin on that. The answer, Rob, is no, not really happy with it. But when you're writing a song, you're he's sitting at the piano and he's playing with words, and he's putting in words that rhyme with other rhymes. We go back to scrambled eggs. Oh my darling, how I love your legs. That was never going to be the lyric, but he's just putting that in. So that could be another angle of use you and abuse you. His rhymes are coming into his head as he's plonking away.
Good point. And there's a lot of that with John's demos, a lot of stuff like that.
And it was clear it wasn't finished because at one point he sings do 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 do. He was filling stuff. It was just nonsense syllables, and also he obviously had planned to come back to it and work on it more.
Nick says, I always thought that they hardly even started work on Now and Then, but it seems like production on it was more advanced than we knew. Well, Sean Lennon has confirmed that George is on it, right? Was it he who confirmed?
Yes. Yeah, Sean Lennon mentioned it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Paul confirmed, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, yeah. I'm glad that Paul came back to do that confirmation, because at first he loosely said AI. With AI, we managed to do the last Beatles record. Everybody's like, "Oh my God, the AI! Don't tell me it's going to be an artificial vocal and all, fake John and all this stuff." And he had to come back and say, "No, no, I didn't. What I meant was, you know." And he
I kind
clarified.
of figured that he was using AI in a very general sense, you know, because I think he also used that term when, you know, last year when he was on tour, and there was, of course, that wonderful part of the show where he sang with John, and I think he said something like, you know, using Peter Jackson's AI technology to make that
Right.
happen. And it's like, well, that's not exactly, you know,
He
what
didn't say MAL,
yeah,
MAL, which stands for, what was it again?
Mechanical audio learning.
Mechanical audio learning.
Yep.
Yeah.
So I think
Yeah.
he sometimes uses AI as sort of a catch-all term for that.
David Henson says, I still don't see how it can be considered a Beatles song as Paul has described it without George or Ringo. Now, first, I'm inclined to say the same way Ballad of John and Yoko is considered a Beatles song without George or Ringo, or the way Yesterday is a Beatles song without John, George, or Ringo. But unless you mean it doesn't have their consent.
But,
well, Ringo consent.
They are on it.
Yeah.
They are on it.
Yeah. I thought you meant consent, then I'm realizing, well, Ringo's consented to it.
Yeah. I think they are on it.
They are. Everybody's on it.
Everyone's on it. All four Beatles are on it.
But David, they don't have to be, apparently, anyway. I mean, I'm glad they are, for all intents and purposes.
I think that when the Beatles were a working band, you don't have to have all four Beatles on a Beatles song for it to be a Beatles song, because it's kind of written for the Beatles. But since the Beatles have split up, I think that with these new songs, you do have to have all four on it to be a Beatles song.
I like it better that way with these new songs, you know.
Yeah. There was loads of songs that had 1, 2, or 3 Beatles on it.
Yesterday,
when they were working.
Yeah. Yesterday's just Paul.
Yeah. Yep.
So, do we know what Sean Lennon's role within the project has been?
Not really. You know, in that tweet that he sent out, I mean, it certainly sounded like, I mean, I don't know how much direct involvement he had, but I mean, he certainly had knowledge of what they did in the studio. I mean, he said about, you know, we use the technology to clean up the vocals. I think did he use the term denoising? I'm not sure. I forget.
Something like that.
It was something like that.
They were just basically trying to clean it up, or
So,
paraphrasing.
now, was he actually there and involved in that? I don't know, but I mean, he certainly had knowledge of it, and would have had to have approved it. I would.
He said that the what they've used is exactly what he said. Well, he said my dad's vocal is exactly as it was, but it's without the noise. So he explained it had a noise. You know, they use this MAL technology to pick out John's vocal, you know, because it can do that. It can say, right, this is a vocal, or this is a guitar, and grab that, and then they can just put it on a track.
Yep. So I bet he would have had to have approved it.
Yeah, they're probably not even going to be using the piano. I think I would imagine. I would have thought they would probably put a fresh piano on that.
Could be. Yeah, because now they'd have the technology to separate it.
Yeah.
And then I think of things as we go along here, but then some people have been wondering, and I have too, would they actually take this opportunity, do you think, speculating to clean up even more Free as a Bird and Real Love?
I'd actually love that, to be honest with you. I would welcome that. I mean, I think, you know, they could do wonders with cleaning up his voice, because, you know, I mean, they did what they could in whatever, 94, when they worked on those tracks, but they could do a lot more now, and really improve the quality of his voice. So I'd be okay if they would do that, with that, as long as they weren't tinkering with his voice to the point of, faking it or anything. I mean, I would be all right with that.
And Paulina says here about demixing. With demixing, AI allows you to separate sound elements. I've been experimenting with it for close to a year now. I know I heard some good versions from Paulina. In fact, she did a version of Free as a Bird that was a lot better. Really.
Well, yes, I think I heard that too. That's
Yeah.
right. Yeah, you did do a great version of that, Paulina. Yeah, really cleaning up his voice and showing what could be done to improve it.
What are Julian's thoughts, we wonder? I don't know.
Yeah,
Hopefully he likes it.
that's a good question. Yeah, does he get a voice in this?
Okay. So then the question, if before anybody brings it up, which I'm sure that they will, is we wonder and speculate how is this going to be issued? Some ideas for that. There's lots of different ways to do it, but some people are thinking that maybe there's more than one song, because they were pointing out how Paul said plural songs or recordings, whatever the word was.
I know. I love how Paul put out a tweet. First of all, that tweet is really something really unusual from Paul to come out and say, clear something up like that. But I love how he put out this tweet to try and close the can of worms that had been opened with people speculating and being confused by it, and then he just confused and made even more speculation, because he's using the word project and he's using the word recordings as in the plural,
right.
and now we're thinking, well, what is the project? What is the project and what are the recordings?
Maybe he knows exactly what he's doing.
Yeah, maybe. You never know.
He does. Of course he does. Yeah, you're right. You're right.
My money is a reissue of the anthology set and having it open up anthology 3. I wonder about that.
That's a possibility.
It would be nice to have it on anthology 3.
Yeah,
I don't see that, because I mean that it sounds sensible on the face of it, because that's how anthology 3 was supposed to be. It's supposed to open up with Now and Then. But when you think about it, basically pretty much all the tracks on anthology 3 have now been out on the box sets of the albums from the White Album to Let It Be. Yeah. All the good stuff's already been come out again. So would they do it again?
I wonder if we might be getting, this is pushing it, but a whole Beatles album of some kind. Maybe you remix Free as a Bird, remix Real Love. You have Now and Then. You have Carnival of Light.
wow.
Well, that's 4, but I'm trying to think like other ideas, things that they've been hinting at.
There was, I mean, when you think back to the Get Back movie, there was loads of unreleased songs that they had that were in the movie that was, that went out on Disney. But there was loads of snippets of unreleased songs, some of them with lyrics, some of them without lyrics, and you kind of think, well, actually, first of all, if we've got that, then we've got lots of songs with all 4 Beatles already playing on them. And then, maybe, Paul and Ringo can, add some verses, add some lyrics, that sort of thing. They could do something with that, maybe. Now that would be interesting. Because, there was lots of songs on, in the Get Back movie, especially in episode 1, where when they were at Twickenham, where they were playing a lot of stuff, castles, was it Castles in the Sky or something like that? There's quite a few songs anyway.
In answer to this question, I personally would not want it on Rubber Soul myself.
No,
that was one of my theories, actually, that brought up on the last Talk More Talk. Is this to be included in a box set? would that be a possibility? Or could this be a little bit like what you were saying, Joe? Maybe some kind of a single, maybe maybe not an album, but a single, maybe including remixes of Real Love and Free as a Bird.
An EP.
An EP. Yeah, somebody said EP4. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, could it be that? I mean, this is just so intriguing. Like, how are they going to present this?
And it's all speculation.
Of course, we don't know.
This is just for fun. We don't
have inside info.
No. Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. Reading that comments. Well, some of the stuff on Anthology were based on the John Barrett tapes of '82. Some intended for sessions albums. So something like Not Guilty on Anthology 3 differs from the Beatles box set. Well, you could do a whole album of Not Guilty.
Oh, yeah, that's true. Somebody mentioned above maybe a single for Record Store Day. If that were the case, I would pull a Tom Hunyadi. I would camp out overnight to get that. That I would do.
Oh yeah, Return to Pepperland. Yeah. No, don't do that, Paul. Please. Don't put Return to Pepperland and have the Beatles song on it. Sorry, just don't mind me. I'm still looking for comments. If you see anything, feel free to chime in.
Yep.
Because it's supposed to stink.
Yeah. That's what I've consistently heard.
Yeah.
Everyone talks about Carnival of Light, and I'm pretty sure that if we ever got it, people would listen to it, but they'd never listen to it twice.
Yeah.
Tone, I wouldn't mind maybe if it was on an album, if they had like a compilation album of a bunch of things and they threw that on there. But as a standalone release, I wouldn't want it to be new old song. Terrible.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's closer to Revolution 9 than being a or something on, Two Virgins or Life with the Lions than it is to being a song.
Yeah, right.
Well,
exactly.
It does have piano parts from Fixing a Hole, apparently.
Okay. I
didn't know that.
It'd be interesting to come out just for historical reasons, just to finally hear it and just have it. But it's probably one of those you hear it once and I'm like, that's enough. We heard it. That's great. Move on.
And Alan C. Records would love a 4 LP box set of the best of the Beatles anthology series with the new song included. There you go.
That'd be interesting. Yeah.
Let's see. Sorry about this.
Oh no. Yeah, I'm looking at comments too.
Yeah, I can't get all of them. So All for Love as well, maybe.
Well, there are a lot of suggestions here of other ways they could.
What is Jason talking about?
Street of Dreams. We've been hearing about that for a long time. Oh yeah, you mentioned Beatles 60 because of course next year we've got that anniversary.
Yeah.
Coming up, right? Maybe tying into that, perhaps.
Maybe that's what they're doing.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
What's all these unreleased songs people are talking about that I've never heard of? What is this? I mean, I don't know anything like that. Am I missing something?
Yeah, that was one of the Get Back songs. I think that was on Get Back.
Yeah.
Some Beatle authority I am.
Yeah.
And Mark Zutkoff points out the full version of It's All Too Much with the movie verse added in.
It's already all too much. No.
that hasn't been released.
I like it a lot better than now than I used to when I was younger. It used to come up as my least favorite Beatles song, but now I like it better.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a grower. That's true.
What is this? This doesn't really fit what we're talking about, but I don't really know about this. This elite Ringo demo, standing in the spotlight.
I don't know.
I'm not sure. I don't know if I've heard about that. I'll have to look into that.
Watching Rainbows
yeah.
has all 4 Beatles on it.
Yeah, it does. Yeah.
Why not finish that up?
Yeah, why not?
Forgot about that. Yeah, that's another one that they could work on. That's true. So yeah, they could put out a Beatles album.
They could maybe put a bunch of stuff together and get. You don't need, how many songs do you need? 12, 10, 11. You don't even need a lot these days. You could put 9 out.
Yeah, I mean, if they were thinking about doing a kind of an anthology 4 sort of thing, remember that they've skipped past Magical Mystery Tour and Yellow Submarine with the box set, so we haven't had a glut of outtakes from those. Only what was on really Anthology 2 and Anthology 3 respectively. Right. So maybe an album could be padded out with some of those. I don't know.
Well, I'll tell you, folks, a lot of talk and sources say there were more than 4 songs given to the Threedles, and that they worked on more than 4 songs. So who knows what is in the can?
Well, didn't they consider working on "Grow Old with Me"? And wasn't that one of the contenders?
I hope they don't touch that. Really,
I don't. Yeah,
I'm fine with it. This is my personal likes. I like it the way it is on Milk and Honey, and Ringo did a version of it. I'm good.
Because I thought it may have been George again. I'm not sure that thought it was too personal a song for them to do, and I agreed. I think that was the right call. I just think to have all of them on it, it's just such a tender, loving song. I mean, I like John's version, even though it wasn't complete. I thought that was the right call not to do that one.
And Helter Skelter Down, is it pretty much, is there a real rocking version of this, or is it the long version is just supposed to be a longer amount of that slow, dirgy
Yeah, I think that
I hated that, folks.
The 27-minute version, I think, is the one where we get about 5 or 6 minutes of it on Anthology 3. I think that's that version, although I can't really remember, to be honest.
Yeah, I think you're right. I don't know.
But yeah, I mean, I'd love to hear the full version of that.
Yep.
Maybe we could talk a little about Free as a Bird and Real Love. I mean, I know my whole story with Free as a Bird was I was collecting a series on vinyl they were bootlegs, okay, and they had, it was from the show The Lost Lennon Tapes.
Yeah.
And there was a song Free as a Bird on there that turned out to be the one that they used, the demo. And I remember when it was announced that Free as a Bird was going to be the title of one of these songs that Yoko gave, I said, oh, I remember from the Lost Lennon Tapes bootleg that I picked up, there was this really slow piano thing that John's really dirgy on. Free as a bird. I said, I hope it's not going to be that. Oh, no. And it was. Now, so I like it much better now than I did in 1995. And I liked what George and Paul did with it, to add new verses and things. I thought that was really, really good. But I wish John's voice had been a little more fixed up. Maybe now they could do that. So I've always preferred Real Love out of the two. Personally, to me, I thought that's a little more peppy.
Me too. I like them both a lot, but I prefer Real Love.
Sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to say this great comment from Jason William Lee. He says recalled Klaatu's calling occupants of interplanetary craft.
Oh, sure. Klaatu's the Beatles.
Why stop at that? Why not go for Anus of Uranus? That was another track from that. I think that when that rumor came out, I think that killed everything that track, Anus of Uranus, because anyone that knew anything about the Beatles knew they would never write a song called that.
Yeah, really.
That was the Beatles. Yes.
Yep.
Okay.
But
Kit,
yeah,
what's your take?
I would like. I mean, I've always felt that I would love to see those two redone to clarify John's voice, because and I don't blame. I mean, I remember Jeff Lynne, giving interviews at the time saying, we did the best we could with his voice. I mean, the quality was what it was. And I would, I think it'd be great to redo, because I think I like the songs, but I have to admit the Real Love version I always liked was the version it was just John and the guitar, acoustic guitar.
You see,
the version
Yes.
on the Imagine soundtrack.
Yeah,
That's my favorite. I love that version. And
but it's interesting. He says real life, and some of them he was singing real life and and real love. But yeah, I like that too. Just goes to show you that's an example of a beautiful song that I love. That's not a catchy commercial single. I love that too, Kit. Yeah.
Exactly. And so I have to admit, that's the version I like the best. And so the single version, the final version from Anthology, I always thought was a little overdone, because I was so used to that acoustic version, that simple acoustic. So
yeah, good point.
And but yeah, Free as a Bird, I would love them to redo it to clarify John's voice, because I think that always bothered me, that the quality. And I knew it wasn't their fault. They did the best they could, but imagine what they could do now.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Somebody asked earlier on, there hasn't been any mention of Jeff Lynne being involved in this, and now and then, is he going to be involved?
Right,
I haven't heard anything either.
No, we don't know more about that.
Don't know. Yeah, good question.
Still need Apple to release the full Quarrymen recordings.
I think Jeff Lynne has got to have a co-producing credit on this anyway, because if George is on it, then it means that they're using the sessions from 1995 or 1996, whenever it was, which was produced by Jeff. So I think he's going to have at least a co-producing credit, I think, on that.
Yeah, could be.
Yeah, and fair enough. Absolutely.
Makes sense. David Henson says, all of these suggestions indicate that we are apparently desperate for new Beatles product. I want to tell you, though, for what it's worth, I'm not. I'm one of those guys. I've always said it. I continue to say it. I'm perfectly okay. The Beatles split up at the right time for themselves, for the music, everything. They have a perfect catalog, pretty much, more or less. And I love that they went their 4 solo directions. After that, gave us more great music. I'm perfectly okay with not having another Beatles song. But, it is kind of exciting all these years later to hear that they're going to try to put something out again. It's the first time since 95-ish, 96. So, yeah, I'm a little excited about it, but I can live without it. Easy, folks.
Right. Although I'll admit that time during the Anthology was such fun. I mean, it was like another, that was as close to Beatlemania as I was ever going to experience. And it was fun. It really was. The excitement surrounding the show itself. I mean, the countdown clock to the Free as a Bird premiere, the release of each of the anthologies and all the events, the CDs and the events surrounding that. That was fun stuff. It really was.
It was. It's the same for me, because obviously I was too young when the Beatles were actually a working band, and I can remember clear as day, like hearing Free as a Bird on the radio the first time, and because they started playing it on the radio, I think like a couple of weeks before it was released. And really emotional moment, I think, like hearing John with Paul after all those years, and obviously John had been dead 15 years or whatever it was, but it was really exciting. And what was funny about it, I was thinking about it today actually, because well, I won't tell you why I'm thinking about it, but because long story, but thinking about it, we didn't really know, because there wasn't the internet then. We didn't really know how, unless you actually knew Beatles fans, you didn't really know how everyone else felt about it, whether they liked it, whether they hated it, whether they was as excited as you. You didn't have this forum where we could all talk together about it and, share our excitement or our dislike or whatever it is. It was kind of different times. And yeah.
That's a good point. And Paulina actually mentions, said the anthology was a blast, especially at Beatle Fest. Yeah, Fest for Beatles fans was like the only place, where we really could share it. Because as you said, pre-social media and all that. So yeah, it was really there that everybody could get excited. But also, if you had a Beatle pal at the, a lot of stores like Mark points out, Best Buy and some others, they had events for the where they would release each of the anthology CDs at midnight. And also, if you could get a Beatle pal to go with you, you could go to the premiere. So that was another way you could experience with friends. But yeah, I mean, as opposed to Get Back, I mean, you could experience that not only with your friends in person, but on YouTube, on Facebook. I mean, we were all, of course, talking about it and dissecting it with the friends in the Beatles community. But yeah, anthology was very different, but it was fun. I mean, I remember the day after the first episode of that anthology premiered, and I was driving to class. I was working my master's at the time, and I was driving to class, and I remember a DJ saying, I never thought I'd get to say this in my lifetime, but here's the new single by the Beatles. And I was like, yes, this is awesome.
It's the craziest thing. It's like everybody talks about how exciting that time was. And, me being a big fan since I'm a little kid, you think I would remember anything. I remember everything about the release dates of solo albums and Beatles project. I remember when the Beatles Rarities was released in 1980 in the US version. And yet I can't remember much about anthology. I think, and it should be a real big memory. I could see myself going to Tower Records. I think I went there at midnight or something for that, just to say I did it, to get the first release. But other than that, I don't remember much about it, even on ABC here in the States, seeing it. That's funny.
I went to Borders for the first one, and they gave out a free poster of the Anthology 1 artwork, and years later I got to have it signed by Klaus Voormann at Beatle Fest.
Yeah, that's nice.
Yeah, one of my prized possessions.
Yeah, for so many people, Anthology was like, it was their Beatlemania. It was their, Beatles are big again, coming, big thing. So there you go.
And I also remember being an idiot when I went up to Klaus. I'd never met him before, and I think I managed to stammer out, could you sign this? I don't know what I said. I was so intimidated. He's a great guy.
There's a great comment there from James Byers, and an even better follow-up, but from Mark Zutkoff, a couple down.
Yeah, I saw.
Nice work, Mark.
Which one are we talking about? I was 14.
Yeah, that one. That's a nice comment. But then go down a few.
I was 14 when Free as a Bird Anthology 1 came out. It was such an exciting time. I'm almost 42, and I really want to feel that way again.
Okay, so that's time. Part 1.
To which Mark says, "You're almost 42, and all you want to do is boogaloo."
All I want to do is boogaloo.
Hey, I don't understand why Ringo didn't sing "Now I'm 82." The last time he was doing that, didn't he do that song? If I remember, if he did it when I saw him when he was 82.
Yep.
Yeah, he wasn't turned 82 yet. He should have said, "Now I'm nearly 82." That's what he should have said.
He should have.
That's
funny.
Time goes fast.
It sure does. Yeah.
So, anybody else have any questions or could think of any points to bring out, observations, speculations, or anything? We're here, so
Yeah.
I have
It's
nothing left on my end.
yeah, I mean it's very intriguing. I mean, and as we said, how this is going to be released, and is there going to be how many, is Paul going to write new lyrics for now and then? I mean, because as we've talked about, it's not finished. I mean,
Mhm.
obviously John was still working on the lyrics. Oh yeah, new Beatles
There'll be
video.
a new Beatles
Yeah,
video, no doubt.
yeah,
Mhm.
that's an interesting point because Free as a Bird video was just so fantastic.
Yeah. Oh, I mean the Easter eggs that were in
Yeah,
there. That was fabulous. I mean, it was like the ultimate tribute to fans. I
yeah,
mean,
brilliant, brilliant
yep,
stuff. So yeah, hopefully there'll be a video to go with it.
yep.
Well, at least we know that Robert S is going to be there to buy it. At least
Whatever
that's
and however they release it, I'm ready.
I'm with you. I'm with you.
yeah. We'll see.
Me
But a lot
too.
of news is going to be coming out about that.
Hmm.
So, anybody think of any other thoughts about it? Tone, Kit?
Let's see. Oh, Ollie
I think
Perry just said Peter Jackson is doing the video. Surely. Well, maybe. I mean, who knows?
Maybe,
surely, yeah.
maybe. I mean, it's just. I mean, my thoughts on it is, there's been a lot of people that have said, oh, they don't like the demo, and it's going to be a disaster. And just my attitude is just sit on it for a little while. Let's see what they've done with it
Yeah.
before we judge it, because this is the Beatles, and they, funny enough, they did have a knack of knowing how to put a good pop song together.
I hope so.
They got a good record for that.
I think
So
they did back then. I hope it still lingers
yeah, yeah,
because yeah, I mean I feel the same way. I mean, I try to be straight down the middle. If it's if I like something, I say it. If I don't
yeah,
like something, I say it. But
Right.
I'm not going to say this is going to be garbage before I hear it. A lot of people, there's a lot of people like that. They have their mind made up that the next Ringo EP or the next Paul album is going to be lousy, even before they have heard it, because that's their shtick. They want to do that. But no, I'm going to definitely wait. And I think that other people should have an open mind. Let's see what it is. See what they do with it. If it's not too good, I'll have to say so. But I hope it's good.
Yep.
Jason William Lee has said that Free as Bird is the second best video of all time in his opinion. I now want to know what the first one is. What's his number one? Down in the
Yep.
comments, Jason.
Yes. Let us
Yeah.
know.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point. I think we need to let's hear it first before we make a decision. I mean, somebody just said earlier, it's a bit of a downer song, to be honest. Well, remember that's the demo. We haven't heard the finished product yet. We haven't heard what they've done with it. And yeah, let's wait and see what it sounds like, and then we'll regroup and offer our opinion then.
I think Sean will, because we did have a little correspondence back and forth. He liked one of my reviews that I did on Give Me Some Truth, and he liked that I pointed out the rough edges that I didn't like, along with what I did like.
Yeah.
So what you say there is probably likely, but I'm gonna, as far as bash is a strong word, but
Yep. Oh, Jason William Lee gave the correct answer for the best video of all time.
no, don't say that. Oh no,
That is the correct answer, Jason. Very good.
I
Very
don't know
good.
about that.
No,
Although
mate.
Mr.
Of course it
Mr.
is.
Price is good. His voice is good in it. No, Kid also has another book that I forgot to mention. Michael Jackson, FAQ, All That's Left to Know About the King of Pop.
Yep. So you are absolutely correct, sir. That's the right
There
answer.
you go.
And, yeah. Mark
I
said,
think I like Beat It better than Thriller, maybe.
that's a great video too. That is a great video. Yeah, Mark said the Michael Jackson super fan has spoken. That's right.
Yeah. So
I was hoping he'd say that.
Well, everybody, I think I'm gonna nip it here in the not quite the bud, but it's blossomed a bit. So thanks everybody for participating in this. All the people who commented, and leave your thoughts in the comments below. If you missed the live stream, you could leave it in the comments below. And don't forget, as I said earlier, if you missed this, depending on how much of this you're watching, if you like the FaB GaB format where I'm on here with people and we discuss Beatles and solo Beatles related stuff, please go to my channel, Me Mr. Mayo. You're there now, likely, and check out the playlists function, and you can access all the FaB GaBs, 39 of them now. So thank you very much. So thank you, Kit, for being here. And before we go, tell us, what you're up to now and what people can look out for.
Okay, well, our latest episode on Toppermost the Poppermost for June 1963, the UK charts, or we call Side A, that episode is up, and so do check that out. Side B, the US charts, will be coming out probably by the end of the month. And so do be on the lookout for that. I will put that up on the Talk More Talk page, of course, the Toppermost of the Poppermost page on Facebook. And give it a listen. Let us know what you think. I think you'll enjoy it. And speaking of Thriller, next month I'm going to be back on the Tuesday Night Record Club, which is run by Monmouth University and co-hosted with Ken Womack, a good friend of ours. And we're going to be talking about Thriller. So, we're going to be going into the making of the album, the impact of the album. And I'll tell you, folks, I've got some great things to share, demos, and talking about the recording of the album, who was involved in it. We'll be talking about the moonwalk, the works. So
Man, it's hard to believe. It's probably, for me, about 40 years ago, around give or take a month here or there, that I was in the clubs dancing to Billie Jean. That's right, Mr. Mayo. Dancing to Billie Jean.
Oh man, I wish there was video. I would share that. As part of this, absolutely.
Video never happened.
Yep. No. Pictures would never happen. That's right.
No, exactly. I was into it. I like that. I like that song, and I like Beat It. The song Beat It. And
yep, absolutely.
A lot of other things from '83. I think that came out. That was really '82. The album, right?
End of '82. But it really caught fire.
But I lived it in '83. That was a great year to be doing all that.
Yeah,
absolutely. A lot of other good stuff too. The moonwalk, I remember it. What I remember about it is being at one of these clubs and seeing on the TV screen him doing the moonwalk. Now, whether that was, I think that was the Motown
25,
right? Now, whether that was live then or they were showing it again on the screen, I don't remember. But it was the biggest. Everybody was like, you stop what they were doing. They couldn't believe the performance.
I've often said that was like my generation's Beatles on Ed Sullivan, because like the next day everybody was talking about it. I mean, it was a huge moment in pop culture for sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yep. So that is. Go ahead.
Sorry, was that the Motown show that you were talking
about? Yeah, Motown 25.
Yeah, I remember it. Yeah.
Yep. Absolutely. So that will be Tuesday, July 11th. At 7:30 Eastern on Zoom. It's free. You just need to register. I will have all that information on. Yes, it is my actual backyard. This isn't a backdrop. This really is my backyard. Anyway, I will put up the information on how to register on my Facebook page, on the Talk More Talk page. Hope to see you there.
Okay, thank you, Kit. And now don't forget, Beatly Tones channel on YouTube is Beatly Tones Beatles channel. And Tone, do you have anything lined up for us?
Yeah, I'm working on a video at the moment, which I think is going to probably be called "When Is a Beatles Song Not a Beatles Song?" And it's kind of it's talking about what we've been a little bit about what we've been talking about tonight. And my usual stuff. I'm doing deep dives into the Beatles albums, the solo albums, and the Paul McCartney archive. collection box sets and just general stories about being a Beatles fan, I guess.
Okay, and don't forget, Beatly Tone and I will be joining the
Yes.
Two Legs show. We got Andy Nichols and Tom Hagnotti. We're going to be doing our Stuck Inside These Four Walls, which is coming up soon, isn't it?
Sunday.
Sunday.
Sunday. It's 5 o'clock Eastern. I think it's going out live 5 o'clock Eastern, and that'll be 10 p.m. in the UK.
There you go. And whatever, and before that is what time? You figure it out. 5 Eastern. Then you got kits earlier than 5, and so on. But yeah, so check that out. Anyway, been a lot of fun speculating here. Maybe if there's more news to come, that more official word, of course, we'll all be talking about it on our various platforms about this single coming up, of course. So maybe as soon as we get off here today, you stop watching, there'll be a new development, and if it's not the song Now and Then, we can just, laugh about this. Could be a Twilight Zone episode or something. All right, everybody. So thanks, and we'll talk soon. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, everyone. Bye-bye.